Hi, I'm Jamie Hollis with the Edith Bush Institute. I'm joined today by Vicki Landon with the Rep. She's the development director here. We're here to talk today about the certificate in leadership practice. Our workshop series is set to begin September 24th. It's a 4-part series that will be wrapping in the month of November. And we're here with Vicki today to talk about her experience as a prior graduate of the certificate series. So Vicki, I just wanted to kind of visit with you about your experience going through the workshop, what that, how the content really resonated with you.
For sure. What was great for me about experiencing this program was experiencing it sort of in the first year, right, of the programming, where we didn't have a lot of people in the community saying, here's what you're going to expect, because I went in as a total clean slate with the program. And I went in thinking, leadership practice, I'm going to learn how to lead other people. I'm gonna walk in and learn how I need to deal with other personalities, and here's how your direct reports are going to need this, and that. And I went in assuming it would be a lot of outward-facing sort of tactics and learning. What was so great for me is that I was wrong about all of that. So much of the work that we did was so self-reflective and self-analytical, and I spent a lot of time in the class. A lot of the curriculum is invested around who you are and where your potential strengths and pitfalls are. And it caused me to be so much more self-aware of myself in social settings and professional settings and personal settings. And it was just an absolutely insightful experience for me. This program is part professional development and it's part therapy. And that's what's great about it, right? It really helps craft you as a whole human being and prep you to be a leader. So many professional development programs are you're going to learn one skill set. And I hope you can apply it in your work or need to apply it in your work because this is the one skill set you're going to learn. Not the certificate in leadership practice, that you have a set of foundational skills upon which you can build as an employee, as a leader, as somebody who's reporting to somebody else, just as a human being, right? I really think this program is sort of the most holistic professional development program I've ever experienced. And I want to do it again.
Oh, good. Well, it's so interesting you say that, because those are the common stories we hear that, I went through the series and yes, I was a different leader, but I was also a different person at home. So it sounds like that was similar for you. So in thinking about, because obviously in the series, they cover a variety of things that are definitely centered around kind of self-reflection work, but kind of brings that out to yourself and the team and how you interact with others, how you interact within your whole organization. So do you have like a favorite part or a favorite topic that felt like it really hit with you?
Yeah, for me, my two favorite sort of exercises and topics. One was an exercise we had to do, and one was an outside assessment that we had to complete. So the first activity we had to do that really resonates the most with me is a leadership decision-making timeline that we had to complete. And so each one of the members of our class, we went through our history of our lives, right? And thought through every major decision we had ever made in our lives. So for me, at age 15, that was breaking up with a very serious boyfriend. But then in my 20s, it was going to grad school. 9 years ago, it was coming to take this job here. And looking on the top half of the timeline about all of the decisions that you've made in your life and how you felt about them and other correlating activities around them, it really causes you to reflect back on your decision making as an individual. And I thought I was a really analytical person. The last car I purchased by spreadsheet, which is a funny thing to say, but I made a 35-row spreadsheet of 6 different kinds of models of cars and their years and their towing capacities, and by that I mathematically decided which car I should buy. And I thought that was just who I was as a person, until I looked back on this leadership timeline and I realized that so many of the biggest life decisions I made, like changing my undergraduate major from a very respectable, reasonable science career that probably would have gotten me a different job to theater without telling my parents for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
A lot of these really formative decisions that I made that to which I can thank for, which I could thank for where I am today. A lot of those were more spur of the moment. There was no spreadsheet to be found in that decision. And that was a really exciting thing for me, because there's who you think you know you are, and how you think you act in life, and then looking back and seeing that variety and knowing that you shouldn't always put yourself in that bucket.
Yeah.
Now the flip side is one of the assessments that we did on the outside was very much putting me in a bucket, and I enjoyed that so much, was doing our DISC assessment.
Right, yes.
And so doing this incredibly detailed psychological profile on who you are as a person and what your tendencies are in conflict resolution, in doing work in your workplace, in responding to criticism, in what sorts of things are priorities for you. But that was great. What was great was being sat at a table during the certificate program with somebody who scored very high in a different bucket than me, and someone who was on the complete opposite end of the spectrum than me. And knowing we had a table with one or two of each personality type around the room forces you to remember that just because something is a priority for you doesn't mean it's a priority for anybody else.
Right.
And here's how you can work with conflicting sets of priorities in a team, and why it's a good thing, and why it's what you want as an employer and a leader, and people around you providing that input. There are still people to this day that I see that I went through this program with that I'm like, hey, fellow high C, how are you doing?
Funny. Yes,
and I remember these features about them. So those to me were the two most impactful activities, because one is very sort of introspective.
Right.
And then the other one really shines the light on who you are, but forces you to learn about how that not just interacts with, but benefits other personality types.
It's, I think there's truths that come out. Some of them are surprising, some of them are kind of known, but it's just like you said, it's just the truths kind of lead you to a place that you understand where different perspectives happen everywhere in your life, socially, in the workplace, everywhere. So I guess my last question would be, thinking about the whole series and reflecting on your takeaways, how do you think that has impacted or changed the work that you do in your current role?
Oh my goodness, in a huge way. And I have to get into the hows, but just to speak about the scale of it, it has changed completely the way that I approach working with other people. You know, it's working in close nonprofit quarters, right? A lot of times you're sharing offices with other people. A lot of times your direct report might be shared by 3 other managers on staff, or everybody somehow has 6 titles, or at least you're doing other duties as assigned that amount to 6 titles. It's really easy to get kind of caught up in the weeds of the work that we do on a day-to-day basis. And the skills that the Certificate in Leadership Practice program taught me really have caused me to step out of myself, really, evaluate objectively why I am inclined to make a decision that I'm going to make, to look at everybody on my team as individuals and think about what their priorities are and where their head is at and where they need to be met and reached in order to be most effective. It's very much a inside out and almost bottom up approach now to management that we take here at the Rep, as opposed to my decree on something. So it's changed completely the way that I approach everything, and it's a stop, take a beat, take a breath, and think about it, and think about yourself and what pitfalls you're prone to before you snap to what you think your reaction is going to be. And it has really, because the program is not just a single 8-hour day, or even like 3 days in a row, because it's spaced out over such a long period of time, it ingrains actual, real, permanent habits in you as a manager, as a leader, as a team member, and has just changed the way I approach things completely.
Awesome. Well, we are so thankful that you took some time to share your experience with us. I can definitely see, your passion for your experience and obviously the work that you do here at the Rep. So again, this is, we're talking about the Certificate in Leadership Practice today. If you have any interest in pursuing this program, it starts September 24th. There are 4 sessions. The 4th one will be wrapping in November. If this is a program that is potentially of interest to you, myself or anyone at the Edith Bush Institute would be happy to talk with you more about it. Thank you.